Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. My name is Jim. I'll be the host for today's episode. We're going to bring on a guest in just a moment. This is another student who's never been on the show before, but they've built a beautiful business using the tools and resources from the Proven Amazon course, which they purchased several years ago, actually before it was even called that. They've been in our community a long time. And we probably should have had this guy and his wife on the show a long time ago. His wife wasn't available today. It was just Benji today. Actually, his wife is one of the coaches on our team, as you'll hear us talk about. They were coaching students who came through our coaching program several years ago as well. They talk about that as well today. He talks about how much that helped them out. If you want details on anything that we mention on today's episode, you can go to the show notes and there'll be links to all the different resources and tools and groups and things that we talk about. So you don't have to take notes furiously. Just go to the show notes. You can go to silentjimdotcom and find this episode, find all those links, or it's near the YouTube video if you're watching it there. But Benji has an incredible story. He's going to be my guest here in just a moment. He was just getting into e-commerce when life took a tragic turn of events, and there's a couple things, either one of which could have completely taken him out, that happened. And he goes into detail on those today. I'm not going to steal any of the story. But it's going to be one of those stories where if you think you're having a bad day today, you think you've been on a bad streak lately, wait till you hear this. And he came out the other side, more importantly. He didn't just kind of curl up and fade away and expect everyone to take care of him. He fought back. He came through it. He had some incredible setbacks, but he overcame them. And just to see and hear him telling his story today, I think is going to really inspire and encourage you. They've built a beautiful, nearly seven-figure business using the strategies that they've learned from this community, the contacts, connections, the people that have been a part of their life that have helped them along the way. Just another testament to the power of being in the right community with the right ideas, having an abundance mindset, and focusing on what we believe around here to be the most flexible business opportunities that have ever been presented to mankind. And that's e-commerce, working flexible hours, unlimited growth potential, all kinds of new connections and creative strategies that you can deploy in your business. Just a constant barrage of opportunity is what we see around here. And you're going to hear that reflected in Benji, in his tone and his demeanor and just his approach to business. He's got a lot of encouragement for you today. This is an episode that's going to give you a real boost and hopefully really encourage you to take those next steps toward whatever it is that you're trying to make happen in your business. Maybe it's not even e-commerce. This is a good episode for anyone to hear today. Just a good reminder of how blessed we are. So I'm looking forward to jumping over, introducing you to Benji Laney here in just a moment. Let me make one little announcement before we do that. You're going to hear him talk about the Proven Conference a little bit during the broadcast today. You need to go over to this website, theprovenconference.com. Keep an eye on that website. Our 2025 dates have been announced. This is going to be our 13th annual event for Amazon sellers. It's not until May of 2025. I know that's a long ways off. It sounds like it right now as we're recording this, but I want you to circle the dates so you're sure to be there. It's the last 3 days of May 2025. That's the 29th, 30th, and 31st of May. Plan to come a few days early, stay a few days late. We've got a ridiculously low reduced hotel rate at the resort, which is the same one we used in 2024 here just a couple months ago. Plan to join us. Last year was our biggest, the 2024 event a couple months ago was our biggest ever. 2025 is going to be even bigger. And you can just hear it in Benji's voice today when he describes the event. It really is a must-attend event if you're starting to get serious about your e-commerce business. We'd love to have you a part of it. That's theprovenconference.com. Keep an eye on that website for coming details in the coming days and weeks. All right, let's jump over and hang out a little bit with my good friend Benji. You're going to be really inspired by this guy. Enjoy. So Benji, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you, man.
You too. Good to see you, Jim.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time. We probably should have done it a long time ago. I told you before we hit record today, just you've been in the community a while, and I'm just eager to dig into the full story of you and your wife's journey in e-commerce. So start wherever you'd like.
Absolutely. I mean, well, we've about 10 years ago is when we got started. When I found well, wasn't the Proven course at the time, but we found that we had seen some ads for some private label stuff on TV, and I thought, oh, I'd love to do that. And then it was like $6,000, and I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of expensive. and we found your course, and it was, I think, maybe $300, $400 at the time, something like that, and signed up for it, and probably had it for a year and didn't really do anything with it. And then on a vacation, we were in a TJ Maxx and found 5 backpacks, and I scanned them, and I was like, "Whoa, we can make like $30 a piece on these." And so we bought it and put it on the credit card and started, and it's where we've been ever since. So,
Wow. And so you guys have been in this community for 10 years. That's
mhm.
awesome. I mean, we've been doing it for 20, but that puts you in a pretty small group of people that have been with us that long.
Yeah, we started
It,
in 2014.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Coming up on 10. So, how long you been full time e-commerce?
Angie went full time in December of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah,
6
it was
years or so.
after my accidents when she went full time. So,
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about that as a little sidebar, as much to spend some time on it. Obviously, you guys have built a great business. You're still in e-commerce. You're doing well with it, and we'll get into that. But your personal story, I think, is something that's going to be pretty compelling to a lot of folks who, especially those who've never heard it before. I know you've shared it many times in the past, but I really appreciate you coming on today to tell. There's a lot of new listeners who you wouldn't have any idea some of the background of what you guys have been through. So, and especially how it ties into, with an emphasis before I turn you loose on just the flexibility of the e-commerce lifestyle that allows us to be there for
absolutely.
family and have that flexibility. And right, that's been a theme on many episodes. So let's dive into it with that lens.
Okay. Well, I've been an electrical contractor for years, and in May of 2018, we were driving to a job and stopped in traffic, and we were hit from behind with by an 18 wheeler. We were sitting still. He was going about 40 miles an hour. So it, I think they said we went from 0 to like 35 miles an hour in under 2 seconds. And I got hit in the head with a ladder and then hit the dash, and ended up with 2 skull fractures and a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage, which I found out later only has a 50% survival rate, but I didn't know that at the time. So I was rushed to a trauma hospital about 45 minutes away, did several days in ICU, and then they sent me home, which I don't remember. I had 10 days of amnesia. I remember about 15 minutes before the wreck, and then 10 days later I start remembering things.
Wow, I'd never heard that part. That's
Yeah,
crazy. So you got 10 missing days.
I do have 10 missing that I don't remember a thing from any of that. So during that time, my wife kept a diary of everything, and I was having hallucinations. I was in extreme pain, it, just crazy, crazy things, which I had no idea of. But so she took me to our family doctor, and I don't remember going there either. But he put me on some steroids to reduce the swelling in my brain. He said that the hospital released me way too soon from what I had, so he set me up with a neurologist, which I went to about 2 weeks after the wreck. And we go in, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Well, I had a wreck." And he goes, "No, why are you not in the hospital?" I'm like,
Wow.
"Been out of the hospital for 2 weeks." He said, "You should still be there." So that started a long 6 month recovery that I was out of work and sitting on the couch at home. Had or still have lots of issues. At the time, I was actually for about 2 weeks blind in one eye, couldn't hear out of one ear. That's come back. I was a little blurry now, but the hearing's come back. I still can't smell, very limited taste, and I've had a lot of speech issues. And if you notice me pause, it's they call it anomic aphasia, where you have a hard time finding the words you want to use.
Yeah. We've got a
So
son actually who was diagnosed, adopted son out of Russia, our oldest, Chase. I don't know, you've probably met him at some
yeah,
point at one of the events, but he's diagnosed with anomia as well. His is from he had a mom that drank while she was pregnant with him. So he's got mild fetal alcohol effect as well, but it comes with anomia. So we're very familiar with we'll wait
yeah,
for Chase and he'll find the wrong word and he'll say it, then he'll find the right word. So yeah, we've familiar with that territory, man.
it is a strange feeling to
Yeah.
you know the word you want to use, but it won't come out of your mouth.
Right. Do you ever use like a close version of it? And we all do
Yeah,
that. I mean, I do that, but it's
yeah,
like particularly pronounced in folks with an anomia
yeah.
diagnosis.
Do that, or I just have to describe in multiple words what I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, it Chase. That's we call it Chase stories because he's just,
Yeah,
and we've all it's part of who he is, and we all have an affinity for it. we kind of enjoy the way he tells stories because it's just going to be a fun journey, right? But yeah, after having pre-anomia brain and then the post-anomia brain, I can't imagine, man. I'm sorry for the struggle that you've got. I'm not trying to diminish it. I mean, you've been a warrior, dude. That one of the reasons I brought you on the show, is your journey has inspired so many people kind of behind the scenes. We've never really brought it out front. And you said, hey, you were ready. So I'm ready to encourage and inspire some folks. The stuff you've overcome, man. I'm a big fan, Benji,
Yeah,
and I appreciate your transparency.
no, it's okay. I mean, it's nothing to do with me. It's all God.
Yeah,
I
praise
couldn't have
God.
done anything else on my own. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
So while little sidebar, while I was at home on the couch, we were discussing Amazon business and stuff, and we had been selling a product we had found in a liquidation store back when that was easier to sell from liquidation stores. But and we were buying it for $1 and selling it for $24 and selling it as fast as we could get it. And we bought all they had and sold out of it. Well, and it was called piggy paste. It was a toenail fungus gel of all things. So I'm sitting on the couch, and this is one of those things that I consider a God thing. Had I not been sitting at home, I wouldn't have had time to do this. I started researching, trying to find it to buy it wholesale. Found out they didn't make it anymore. And then come to find out it was invented by a family doctor and he had passed away and it just vanished. It was at one point had been Walmart, CVS, all these stores, and just vanished. So while I'm sitting on the couch bored, I start researching and I find his brother, who's also a doctor, and send them a letter, registered letter, the big giant envelope from the post office. I thought, well, this is bound to land on his desk anyway. And said, if you'd like to sell the formula, call us. And so, long story short, like 2 weeks later, I get a call that's, yeah, we'd love to sell it, but we also want to sell our inventory and all the IP and everything. And
That's
they
funny.
told me what they would sell it for. And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. I'll put some numbers together. I didn't have anywhere near the money at the time to do that. So it led me to my partnership with Ryan Rieger and Danny Stock.
Right.
They partnered with me. We ended up buying the business, and we still have it to this day. Still sells on Amazon. So that was one of the God things that never would have happened had I not been sitting
Yeah.
at home with a lot of free time.
Man,
Uh,
it just as a pause in that story, I say it all the time. It seems like it comes up the vast majority of episodes when I'm interviewing our students who have succeeded and built businesses, relationships, names, people, contacts. It's not strategy and tactics and charts and data. You need that,
yep,
but it's relationships and contacts and conversations and sending a letter to a stranger in an envelope so that they see it. Right. Those are the kind of breakthrough moments that pretty much everyone has. It's not just strategy, technique, and tools. And I just wanted to pause to emphasize here we are again with a story where there's several other people involved and those connections, those divine appointments. I love to call them like the right
yep,
person, right time, right opportunity, a little bold action. There you go.
absolutely, absolutely. And that was the same time when I'm home on the couch. We started discussing my wife going full time with Amazon because we'd been in it 4 years at that point. We were doing pretty well, but we were at a plateau. We couldn't really go any larger without her quitting work, and we knew at that time she was a pharmacy technician that she would be able to make a lot more money doing our Amazon business than she would be there. So in December, well, I got to go back to work in October, and in December she quit and went full time once I got back to work, and that has been a fun journey ever since. And it actually makes most months more than my electrical contracting business does. So it's been the right decision.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fantastic. What a journey. And you guys have kids.
Yeah, we have a 17-year-old daughter, and then we've got a 7-year-old boy that we adopted a few years ago.
Beautiful. I love it. Are they involved in the business at all?
My daughter this year has started working. She preps and ships for us, and on the piggy paste side, she gets all that boxed up, ready to go out. So she's discovered she likes that a little more than I think she thought she would. She loves the money anyway, but
Yeah. Yeah. A nice flexible job working for your parents, right? That's how my business has grown too, is just there's a lot of family and friends. I've got my aunt, my mom, a couple of my kids any given day, good friends from
that's
church. Like that's my crew.
That's the same with ours. We've got my wife's sister hired. She runs the warehouse for us, and she shops and does most of the prep and ship. We've got cousins that do online shopping for us. My parents help out with prep and ship 2 or 3 days a week.
Mhm.
It's grown to be a pretty sizable operation now.
That's fantastic. Well,
Yeah,
take us wherever you'd like. I'd love to hear more about your business. What else you're doing besides that that magic paste you found? The you call it piggy paste. Is that still what it's called? Is it on
yep,
Amazon?
it
People go
is.
see it and buy it. There you go.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. We're getting a lot more into the online arbitrage now. Getting back to my story a little more there.
Sure.
So I went back to work in October. Then in February 23rd of 2019, I coached my daughter's basketball team, and we were having the basketball party. And then after that, I was leaving to go to Georgia to a bunch of friends I ride motorcycles with. We get together 2 or 3 times a year, and one of our friends has a lake house, at Lake Burton over there. So I left out to go there, which my wife begged me not to go that late. She said go tomorrow, but I was ready to go see him. So left, got there about 1 in the morning, talking to friends, and I know some people don't like firearms, but I conceal carry. So I had my pistol with me, and we were talking in the kitchen, looking at the pistol, several of them there, unloaded. Being safe with them. Getting ready for bed. It was late, so I put mine back in and let the slide go, which loaded the chamber. Put it in my holster, stuck it over by my bag, and we were, saying our good nights. And I'm standing there, like I say, on this little kitchen island peninsula thing, and here, what was that? I thought that was super loud. Ears are ringing. What was that? And I took a breath and went, and it was like somebody knocked the breath out of me. I was like, oh, that went off so close. It knocked the wind out of me. And you know how you feel when you're a kid and you reach up, you press on your chest to get your breath. And I pressed up there and I looked down and I was like, oh no, I'm bleeding. And I look around the room and my friend from Ohio was standing across from me with my gun in his hand, which he thought was still unloaded. And he shot me. I don't know if you can see right in the chest, right there.
Yeah, basically right in the middle, like right where Iron Man's light is. For those who are
Yep,
listening, like right in the middle, buddy. Yeah.
right in the middle. Shot me right
Wow.
there.
Wow. And I knew this part
So
of the story, but I've never heard you describe it in this much detail, man. So thank you
yeah,
again for your transparency. Hi. So you're just a few months on the other side of being released to get back to somewhat
yeah,
normal.
yeah. Literally, 4 months away
Yeah.
from just going back to work.
And then a friend accidentally shoots
Yep.
you with your own firearm.
Yeah. And that was a God thing too. Like I remember everything. I never passed out. I didn't realize, like I say, I'd been shot till I touched it.
Took you a few
Which
seconds. Yeah.
which one of the side effects, I guess you'd say, from my wreck is that it really takes a lot for me to feel anything like painful. Like I can hold something that's burning my hand and not really know it.
Hmm.
And so I think that helped me there not to panic because I didn't really feel it.
Yeah, the
And
increased pain tolerance. But still,
yeah,
that's just easily could have been fatal within a few seconds.
the surgeon said 3 millimeters because it was actually a hollow point bullet, which they said was a good thing in this instant because it
Right.
it, it clipped the edge of my rib and dispersed all its energy, and it turned and went down instead of going through my heart.
Hmm.
Uh, but it did get lung, diaphragm, liver, and gallbladder. But we were took 20 minutes for an ambulance to get there because this is in the middle of a state park over there. And they get me there. Well, I lay down in the floor. I step back. I lay down in the floor, and I'm sitting there and like, God, if it's time, I'm ready to go.
Hmm.
But if it's not, I've got a wife and a daughter that I'd really love to spend a lot more time with, and that quick, like the I think it's in Philippians where it talks about the indescribable peace of God. I was as calm as I have ever been in my life,
The peace that
just as
passes
cool.
understanding. Yeah.
There you go. That was it. And it is truly an indescribable feeling. I mean, just warmth and light, and no no booming voice from God saying you're going to live. But I knew without a shadow of a doubt, I had no doubt I was going to make it. I was going to be fine. I'm laying there, and there's 14 other guys in the room, and I've talked to all of them, and they said I was just as calm as could be. They said everybody else, and I remember they were all scared to death,
Oh,
screaming.
rightfully so. Especially the guy who pulled the trigger. I imagine
Yeah,
he had to
and
just be.
And
How's he, by the way, to this day?
he's good now. It took him several years.
Yeah,
Uh,
gotta
we
imagine.
I finally got him to come back to Alabama, and we sat down and had a talk. And
Good, good.
that was one of those things. He asked, "Can you forgive me?" And I'm like, No." He's like, "You can't forgive me?" I was like, "I don't have to forgive you. I was never mad at you."
That's right. Man, that's beautiful. I'm glad I asked, and I'm glad you're willing to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I said, "Did you intentionally do it?" He's like, "No." I was like,
Of course not.
"And I'm not mad." I said, "It was an accident."
Mhm, mhm.
And so we had the ambulance gets there, hour and a half ride to the hospital.
Oh my goodness. So
Uh,
2 hours after your shot, you're finally getting
2 hours,
some
yeah. And
doctor attention.
my wife and parents, God bless them, they called them about 6 in the morning. The police did, and all they said was, "There's been an incident. Your husband's been shot." And they're like, "Well, is he alive?" "We don't know. He's been taken to the hospital." So they have to drive 3.5 hours to get there
Without knowing.
without knowing. And they get to the hospital, and having never been shot before, I didn't know this, but they keep you as a John Doe in case anybody's coming trying to finish the job or whatever.
Oh, they don't know the circumstances,
Yeah,
sure.
they're on the service. So my bracelet says John Doe. They've got all that on, and
Mhm.
my wife gets there and she's like, "My husband's here. He's been shot." And they're like, "No, he's not here." Like, yeah, he said the police told us. So she had to call the investigator, and they called and told him that it was there. She said, "Is he
Cleared her.
alive?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, "Is
Wow.
he alive?" So we'll just hold on. They put him in the chapel, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" But she said she had a feeling, like she had prayed, and she had the feeling that I was going to be okay, but still was a little panicked. But so they had to. Actually, I was out of surgery and awake, and they called up and asked me if it was okay to let them in. But
And you were lucid. I mean, these are all you remember all these
yeah,
details.
I remember everything from being shot till I rolled through the emergency room doors, and then
They
they
put
hit.
you under at that point to operate, obviously, but you woke up and you remember. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Which was
and then
harder to go through, the car
uh,
wreck or the gunshot, just as far as the physical, emotional, mental healing required?
uh, mentally, I was pretty good with both of them because I don't remember the wreck. So by the time I come back around, I'm hurting, but it's not bad
Mhm.
because I've already relieved the pressure and stuff. From the gunshot, I remember all of it, which was a shock, but I had that peace from God, so I wasn't really traumatized by it. But physically, the gunshot was a lot harder to go through at the time, but I've got more after effects from the wreck, which is strange.
Hmm.
As far as from the gunshot, I other than scars, I have nothing. It's everything's perfect.
That's amazing. And it wasn't one of your nicknames Iron Man because of where you got hit. Do I remember that right?
Yeah, some people have called me that. Superman, Iron Man. They go, "Oh, you're bulletproof." I was like, bullet resistant." It went in, but
Bullet resistant. Yeah, it didn't bounce off. I'm not Shazam. Yeah,
yeah.
I love it, man. What a story. What a story. And of course, this is a business podcast, but I've learned, I've done almost 900 episodes at this point. Real stories. The real stories of real life, that just makes people appreciate and understand like they're not alone. Like everyone's got their real stories. I doubt there's many listeners who have traffic accident followed by a gunshot injury and then a recovery, but everyone has their stories, man. These are the valleys you've gone through in your faith in God and love of your wife and the friends and the community and the business model that you've been able to hang on to. That's the main point of this show. But I love these real stories of real people, man. I just got to imagine there's people hearing this today going, okay, if he can go through all that and still figure this out and come out and still run a business. And so I'm proud of you, man. And I think you're inspiring a lot of people sharing this today. Take it wherever you want to go. I just wanted to make that observation. I haven't forgot this is a business show, but business means real people living real lives.
Well, getting back to business, how Amazon blessed us through all this is like my wife had just gone full time in December, so it's only been 2 months,
Hmm.
and at that point, she had already built up enough inventory that she stayed in the hospital with me for the 30 days I was there in Georgia. We never touched the Amazon business, and we were still making money the entire time we were there.
Yeah.
And so we were never in a real financial strain. I mean, Amazon was such a blessing, and that all goes back to learning, of course, from your course. But it was an amazing blessing, and we've only gone up from there because we really kind of learned to appreciate what we had and what we were doing at that point, and that's really when we started to take off and grow. And like I say, now we've got our own warehouse where we prep and ship. We've got a whole team, and we're growing again. And it's just been amazing. And people ask me all the time, said, if you go back and change any of that, what would you change? I say, absolutely nothing. I'd
Mm.
go through all of it again because it's taught me to appreciate life and all that comes with it more. And the challenges that come, people freak out all the time about Amazon. Amazon's going to do this. Amazon's going to do, retail arbitrage is going away. And once you've been through all this, you're like,
Yeah.
still,
Perspective, man.
yeah, yeah. As a
Yeah, and
good
my wife and I say all the time, like we find ourselves thinking, we have this look that we can give each other, and we both know exactly what it means. It's these people need to get a real problem.
exactly,
I imagine you and your wife have the same look.
yeah,
You'll be talking to someone, and they'll be sharing their tragic story, and you're like, and you listen politely and you nod your head and like, and you try to empathize, and everyone has their own version of hard, but you look at what you've been through, and not trying to compare sob stories by any means, but man, we've been through the ring in our family since about 2011 on just seems like every time we come up for air, it's like body slam. But but God keeps showing up, and here we are, and we're all healthy. I got a grandkid, I got a beautiful business. Life keeps throwing surprises at us, but we keep floating back up, man, with more gratitude, to your point, than we had prior, more appreciation. It's so easy for me just to spend time in gratitude and appreciation for just how blessed we are because of that perspective of knowing how bad it could have gone. And you could have been
think,
permanently paralyzed. I mean, you could be or worse. You know,
oh, yeah,
I mean, there's so many directions this could have gone, but here you are, lucid, successful, great marriage, great family, great friends, bright future, paying family to work with you, people you love on your team. How blessed are we, man?
absolutely, so blessed. And I think that's the thing a lot of people forget when they're in business is the gratitude part, and they start panicking over all the little things that could go wrong or have gone wrong, and forget all about all the things that have gone right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we do that occasionally, but we reel
Sure.
ourselves back in because we have been through a lot.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite words, Benji, is remember. I see the word remember in the Bible a lot.
Hmm.
I don't see the word leadership in the Bible a lot. I don't see the word goals. I don't see the word, there's a lot of business words we throw around, and those aren't bad things. But I do see the word remember a lot. And that's just gratitude. Remember where you were? Remember what you came through? Remember how good God was last time you were in something similar or worse than this? And that allows you to be in that position of gratitude, then remembering is a prerequisite for gratitude. Hey, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I want to tell you about today's sponsor. If you are an Amazon seller who has more than just a handful of listings on Amazon, I can almost guarantee you that Amazon owes you money that you don't even know you're owed. There's all kinds of little reimbursements and rebates and refunds that Amazon owes you that unless you're actively going in and tracking them down, you are not getting all the money that you have coming to you. And today's sponsor does that for you. They only get paid if you get paid. And their first $400 of reimbursements are completely free. They don't charge you anything. They just prove that they're good at what they do. They're Amazon approved. They've been doing this a long time. They're a great friend of our community. Many sellers in our community use them. The company is Gitada, and I'm going to give you a link. Write this down. silentjim.com/reimburse. That link gets you the special offer that they have for our community, silentjim.com/reimburse. Be sure to tell them that I sent you, and you will enjoy the benefits of having someone else finding all the money that Amazon owes you. Go check them out now. Let's get back to the episode. And that's just gratitude. Remember where you were? Remember what you came through? Remember how good God was last time you were in something similar or worse than this? And that allows you to be in that position of gratitude, then remembering is a prerequisite for gratitude. And now you're
Absolutely.
optimistic. And now people want to work with you. People want to hang out with you. They want to do deals with you. You can go to your friends, Danny and Ryan, and run an idea past them. And they're not like, oh man, here comes Captain Negative again. I think I'll take his voicemail a week from now. I don't want to talk to that guy. You don't want to be that guy.
No, absolutely not.
That kills business deals. It just does. If you're in a relationship business, which we all are, you want to be a source of positive, creative solutions, forward focused, remembering where we've been, thankful for where we are. looking forward to what's coming next in spite of the challenges. And that's me preaching to myself. And there's a lot of other people need to hear it too. But you've been able to do it, which is one of my favorite parts of your story. I love that. This can't be overemphasized. If you'd have kind of gone into a dark corner of depression and curled up in a little ball, none of us would have blamed you. Like, man, that's a lot to go through, but you didn't. And you've been
No,
able to accomplish a lot on the other side of these things.
no.
And
Well, I mean, y- everything comes down to a choice, and you've got, whether it's life, business, whatever. There's always a black and a white choice, and it's going to be. In my case, it was, I can give up and not make it out of the hospital, or I can go, hey, this happened. What can I learn from it? Where am I going from here? And
mhm.
that's the way I wanted it. I don't want to sit back and just be dreary over everything. I'm going to keep moving forward. That's the way I'm built.
Yep.
And in our business, both my businesses, we've had a lot of ups and downs. But I think the key to being successful in business is just being persistent,
Hmm.
perseverance.
Yep.
Things are going to change, but you just change with them. You keep rolling, and that's the situation we're in right now. I mean, with the economy like it is, it's a little harder to find items. So that's why we're moving online. We're pivoting. Sorry, that was the word I was trying to get out. And persevering. We're going through. We're changing a little bit. We're still rolling through. I mean, I think we're gonna grow this year again, and that's our plan. We're gonna keep going. We're doing
Fantastic.
the new software, King's new software. We're learning that now, and
Oh, are you in you're in the system? I didn't
we're
realize
in the
that.
system. So
Nice.
we're learning that, and we're gonna branch out with a lot more VAs doing sourcing, so we can grow even faster.
Love it, dude. For those who don't know what we're talking about, silentjimdotcom slash the system. Kang's the guy that built a $3 million business, but more importantly, doing the replens model, the online shopping, retail arbitrage, replens system basically. But he's got it completely automated. He's built a beautiful workflow system. We got about 200 people in our final beta stage, and Benji's one of them, looking to go deeper into that model. Yeah, I love what Kang says. He's like, I don't know why people talk so negative about online arbitrage and replens. He's like, it's such easy money. I just decide how much money I want to put into my business each month. Because once you have a good workflow system,
Hmm.
once you're looking for the right kind of products, once you know the tools, there's stuff still out there in abundance. And from I've seen several of these waves come and go. Just from my perspective, Benji, I've been in this is twice as long as you. You've been in a decade. I've been at 22 years. I've seen these waves. I get excited. I've seen it happen about, I don't know, 7 or 8 times now, when the rumor mill on the street is, oh, it's not as easy as it used to be. And that ripples through the communities. Like, oh, here it comes, man. It's getting ready to get good because the shoppers are shopping more than they ever have. Amazon's bigger than it's ever been, and it's going to keep growing. There's a billion ASINs, and there's going to be more than that tomorrow, right? Shoppers are still going nuts online. If there's fewer sellers that are willing to do the, hard work, that's just more territory for the rest of us. I've seen that wave roll through several times. It'll get a little easier again, and then everyone will kind of come back. It'll get a little harder again, and a lot of people will go away, and they'll get a little easier again. I've seen those waves. I've been hearing that retail arbitrage and online shopping and sourcing is dead for literally 20 years. I remember when the rumor rolled through the eBay selling community. Yeah, there's not going to, everyone's doing it now. There's no opportunity anymore. Like, nope, it's, it's 10 times bigger than it was then. And guess what? 5 years from now, it's going to be 3 or 4 times bigger than it is right now. So
Yeah,
it's opportunity everywhere from my vantage point. And I appreciate that you have that perspective and you're doubling down and you're getting the workflow system that we're creating around here. It's going to be beautiful. We're hearing great results from folks. Well, share some numbers with me if you don't mind, whatever you're comfortable. I didn't set you up beforehand to prep you for this, but just give us some generalities. If you've got a bit of a team now, you got a lot of moving parts, break down your business for us, give people a bit of perspective.
yeah. I mean, we hit the. I hope in the next year or so we'll be over 1 million in sales, but we're upper six figures. We stay in there, and the reason I say that's because we're starting this, and we've actually started getting VAs, which we should have done years ago, but we didn't. We tried, and we had bad luck, and we dropped off, and then we're back now. We've got some good ones trained, so they're sourcing online and finding great deals. But we're picky too. We like to keep our ROI higher in the 40% range. So it makes it a little tougher to find it. But when you do, it sells fast and it's higher ROIs. We've drawn, a very comfortable salary off of it for the last several years. Like I say, my wife's worked full time. It's allowed us to adopt our little boy. We send both our kids to private school, and that's 75% off the Amazon and 25% off my contracting business. It's amazing. We bring home in the six figures every year on our salary. So
Yeah, and it's your wife's full-time gig, more of a
my
part-time
wife,
thing for you, it sounds like.
yep, I call myself the technical advisor. She calls me in to figure out the software and to
Yeah.
give my opinion on things, but she took it and ran with it after the wreck, and she's been full force ever since, and she is a force when it comes to it.
Oh, man, she's gotta be. We haven't talked about her a whole lot, but I think people know a whole lot about her.
Yeah,
Right, just
and
from your story, the kind of
which
the kind of girl you married, man. You have those
yeah,
moments. I've had these moments too. I've been married 30 years now, and even in the last few years, I've had these moments where I'm just now realizing how smart I was 30 years ago to pick this one, right? I bet
absolutely.
you've had those moments.
I have those moments every day.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have any of this without her. I would
Mhm.
I'd probably be living in a camper somewhere.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? A guy without the right girl in his, late 40s, early 50s, it's like
Yeah, tell my
there's some things that are sadder than that, but not a lot. Man, it's just like, you're just so blessed. Now I've got a grandkid coming, or I have a grandkid. He's 6 month old, and he's coming to our house all the time, and I'm playing with him, and I'm just like, wow, I was so fortunate to be as smart as dumb as I was. I was smart enough to pick the right girl, and look what we've built, man. Yeah, it sounds like you got a
that's
lot of gratitude as well.
and Angie, she is a smart one. I mean, she coaches for you now. So,
That's right. Man, that's crazy. I'd forgotten that.
so you got several
Angie's one
coaches.
of our coach. I know we got 60 coaches, and a lot of times they kind of come and go and busy. And I was talking to someone on the podcast here a couple of days ago. I thought they were still coaching for us, and they aren't. They're too busy right now. Their business has exploded, and they're doing great. So yeah, I can't quite keep track, but it's always around 60 coaches or so. And of course, you guys have been around a while, trusted leaders. Doesn't surprise me that she's doing a great job
Yeah,
for us. But
he enjoys it.
beautiful.
And that's helped our business. We pick up as much from the students, I think, as they do from us.
Huge point. Allow me, I'm doing more talking than I'd like, but that's one of the things I tell all the coaches now, because I do have an onboarding call with each of them when they come on board. And I say, don't be surprised if you wind up getting way more out of this than your students do, because the people that are vetted through our program, typically they're coming in and, they got business and life experience and connections and contacts and ideas and piggy paste, right? Like they've got
Yep,
opportunities and they just need someone to help connect the dots. And I like, go for it. Your network has just expanded with some of the best people you're ever going to meet. It's one of the benefits of coming into our coaching program as a student. It's also one of the benefits of being a coach, is just the connections. And I love hearing these stories, sometimes a year or two after these things have happened. Like, you guys did what? You and your student did what? It's like, oh yeah, we got this brand that's blowing up in, Europe right now. Like, when did that happen? But just, good people with ideas, pursuing them, making the right contacts, relationships, that leads to good stuff every single time. I've even said this, Benji, if the only thing you got out of our coaching program was a connection into our core group of leaders, that's it. You didn't have any calls with them scheduled, no coaching, no technical skill training, just that contact. It's more than worth the price of admission just for that. So I love hearing that Angie's benefiting as well, from the
absolutely.
contacts and the
And
students.
we went through the coaching when we started. So I mean,
That's right.
that
I
was
forgot about
one
that.
of the jumpstart points for us.
Yep.
And like you said earlier too, it as much as you'd like to think it's not because you're just sitting at home on a computer, it is as much or more of a relationship business than any business. Because everything we've made, every little step where we've grown has been because of a connection we've made, usually through somebody at the Proven Conference or through one of the coaching students, or that's led to the exponential growth was through all these conversations we've had. I mean, you can. I don't want to brag on the Proven Conference too much, but
I'll take
the
it. It's a
yeah,
lot of work.
like the sessions are awesome. I love the sessions,
Yeah.
but it's after the sessions and in between the sessions is where all the value is.
Yep. I
All the value,
100% agree.
and we've
I've
made
said it before, I'm the guy that's the main guy organizing this thing, and I work all year. And we're working on our 13th right now, Benji, for 2025, May of 2025. Theprovenconference.com is the website. But the first 3 or 4 years we did this, and I would hear people say things like what you just said. They're like, oh man, I need to plan better sessions. I need to get better content. And I'd kind of take it personally and almost like, I need to work harder to make this thing really good because people are saying the conversations in the hallway are better than the content. But after a while, I gave up. I'm like, I know these sessions are great, but people get the recordings, relationships, connections, conversations in the hallway. That is the value. We've designed it to be the core component of emphasis now. It's like, yeah, we can't beat that because you get in a small circle, staying up till 2 a.m, talking, swapping family stories and ideas and strategies and insights. I mean, that's priceless. The relationships that generated from that are just absolutely priceless. Yeah. So I have no problem with that anymore. I actually make it a point of emphasis. Conversations in the hallway. I even train now, the past several years. I know you've heard me say this, Benji, the day one opening session. I say, we're all giving each other permission to say, how's business? Answer it honestly, help each other out, have conversations about business, because this is a friendly place to do that. There's nowhere else you can go in the world right now and just have random business conversations with people who get it at what you're doing. Take advantage of that time, right? They'll sleep when it's over. Take advantage of that time together.
And in this particular group, there's not a lot of secrets. Like everybody's willing to share.
That's right.
Like how did you do this? Oh, well, let's sit down. I'll tell you exactly how I did it. And I made several of those this year. Some things I haven't got to implement yet, but I'm looking forward to doing. And of course, we've made lifelong friends there.
Yeah, the
Many.
abundance mindset is what we call it. The
It is
blue
absolutely.
ocean. It's the benefit of being in a blue ocean industry, right?
Yep.
Where we're not competing, bumping heads constantly. It's such a blue ocean, all kinds of new opportunities constantly. And we know everything that's working great today is going to slowly morph and be something slightly different tomorrow. So we got to all help each other out, stay ahead of that curve, and the opportunities just keep coming. I love it, buddy. Yeah. Well, go wherever you'd like to go, man. Uh, what else would you like to share today? Any specific tips or pointers or anything else from your story we left out? Just, the ball's in your court, man. What else would you share with listeners today to bring them some value?
Well, I mean, probably not a lot. Well, I assume probably a lot watching this are, but faith helps a lot. Having a God you can talk to about it. That yeah, you can take it from me. I mean, I've always been saved, or since I was 15, I've been saved. I've been fairly religious, but once I had that intimate meeting with God, I want to share that with everybody. And then, like Rabbi Lappin says, business is biblical.
Yes.
And sometimes I had guilty feelings before that about whether I should be doing what I'm doing. Does it take advantage of people? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm selling things that they want, they need, that they're willing to pay for. I'm
Mm.
not holding a gun to anybody's head to make them pay for it. And that's come from my faith, me realizing that I'm doing a good thing. I'm helping people.
Yeah. And it's not
And
just your customer too. That's one of the
yeah,
things I learned from Rabbi Lappin. He says it like this: is you brought him up, a good friend of mine. He suffered a really bad loss here a week ago with the loss of his daughter. And so we're praying for him and love him so much. I left him a voicemail just today, reaching out to him actually. But since you brought him up, one of the things he says that I absolutely love is it is impossible to run a profitable business without dramatically improving the lives of countless other people, most of whom you'll never meet.
hmm yeah,
That's a powerful statement. And I've memorized it. I've committed it to memory. I heard him say it once many years ago. And I thought to myself, man, that's awesome. Because not only is it your customer who's now better off, how do you know they're better off? Well, because they would have paid more than they did. How do you know they would have? Well, because they paid you that much. Like, so they saw more value in your product than they did the money in their pocket. So you've served them. Yes, that's just one. There's countless people, all the suppliers, the vendors, the people
the
shipping, the logistics, the companies, the
all of yeah,
electric company that keeps the lights on at these companies, and all the people that work at the electric company, right? Countless people before and after the transaction benefit. And it's all made possible because you serve another and you take a risk and you buy $20,000 of piggy paste and you hope it sells. And you have no guarantee it will, but you've taken a risk based on a future hope, a faith that the customers will be there. And when they start showing up with gratitude, and that's evidence that you're serving with excellence, that's all that money is. It's evidence that you've planned properly and served with excellence.
yep,
And that's what entrepreneurs are. We plan, we delay our gratification with faith, hoping that the future will be bright enough for other people to buy the stuff that we've put our hard earned cash into. That's our inventory, right? So there's a lot of scriptural faith-based lessons in just simple business, man. And I can go all day on this stuff, as you well know, but I love that
Uh,
you brought it up. Absolutely. Not only do we have to, should we not struggle with is it virtuous or not? We need to keep in mind there's very few things we could be doing with our life that are more virtuous than running a profitable business when it comes to serving others.
Absolutely. And way I look at it as well is if I'm not making money, you know, I can't tithe the church. I can't help charities. We sponsored kids with compassion. I couldn't do that if I wasn't
Yeah.
making the
You're able
money
to
I'm
adopt.
making.
Yeah, we
So
have 3 international adoptions as a
yeah,
result. You know, we've and the way you spend your money is kind of irrelevant to me. I could care less, but if you do have good causes in mind that you want to support, money goes a lot further than a lot of other
yeah,
things you could be doing to support them. Yeah, so run a successful business and be able to support and be generous, be
yeah.
abundantly generous and giving. Yep.
If you're broke, you might can help one person. If
Hmm.
you're rich, you can help a lot of people.
That's right.
And
Yep.
that's one thing I've had to come to terms
Yeah.
with, and
Yeah.
that's helped me drive my growth. And it's
Mhm.
and we're on the way. Like I say, I hope we'll be over 1,000,000 by the end of next year.
Yeah. You'll get there.
Sales, but
You'll get
not
there. I have a feeling like even just after being on this podcast, you know, you're gonna have a good handful of people reach out to you and just thank you for the episode and that sort of thing. But you're also gonna have a handful of opportunities, people going, okay, that's the guy I need to talk to. I got an opportunity. I gotta have a conversation with this Benji guy. They're gonna track you down. And who, you know, I hear all the time from podcast guests how, you know, they went from point A to point B at a higher trajectory within 6 to 9 months of being on the podcast just because of a handful of conversations and connections that resulted from this great community, you know, that kind of
uh,
propelled them to a new place. So praying that happens for you as well, man.
Angie and I are always more than welcome to try to help anybody we can, whether it be with business or if somebody needs to talk to me about my story or about their
Hmm.
faith,
Hmm.
wherever we can be of a help, that's what we're looking to do.
Hmm. You know, it's something I hope this episode does, and I pray that it accomplishes. And I know this is your heart too, Benji. Is there's a lot of people who went through maybe not quite what you went through, something less than that, but they didn't bounce out of it the way you have. They're stuck in a rut, dark corner on the couch, curled up in a ball. You know, I hope I hope this encourages them, you know, and inspires them to take action, right? But the other is, I would just say, you know, something I heard in your story. You've got to put one foot in front of the other and start heading in the right direction and taking action and getting back into it. You didn't wait till you were fully physically, mentally, emotionally 100% restored to start taking action. You got back at it pretty fast, man. And that can be
Yeah.
a part of your healing process.
And there's a funny story with that one too. So I get out of the hospital March 23rd of 2019. And I think it's the first or second week of April. The Legends, Business Building Legends, were having their reunion in Illinois. And I had to get special permission from my doctor to go. They released me to go up there. I still had drain tubes and all kind of things, but I wanted to be there and get back into the swing of things, get back into the business. And so my wife had to drive. I wasn't allowed to drive yet, but so literally 2 weeks after being released from the hospital, we're headed to Illinois to go to a business conference. So
That's how much those connections, relationships, that's how much that means to you guys.
yep,
Is to be a part of it. Yeah. And yeah, talk about taking positive steps even when you're just even while you're still healing. You know, even modern medicine, I'm hearing more and more. They used to say, no, you need to rest, you need to lay still, you need to let it heal. Now they're saying, no, as soon as you like with physical, you know, injuries and that sort of thing, like guys have knee surgery and stuff, like, no, you need to get back on it. We want you back moving. We want you doing what you can as soon as you can, pushing it. That there's a spiritual lesson in that. We're the same way spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You got to get back at it. You don't wait till you feel better. You don't wait till you feel. That's even a good. That's a good tweetable comment. Don't wait till you feel like it. Never
yeah.
wait till you feel like it on anything. How you feel doesn't matter.
That was the same thing with my brain injury after the wreck. They're like, "You need to go home and rest. Don't watch TV. Don't do that." Well, I can't do that. So I took a constitutional course. I read tons of stuff on Amazon. Of course, I worked on the piggy paste thing. I did all this, and then I had before I could get released to go to work, I had to go to a neuropsychologist. And he's like, "What have you been doing?" I go through all that. I was like, "I know I'm not supposed to." That's BS. He said, "Your brain's a muscle like anything else." He said, "You got to work it to get it better." He said, "You did
Love
the
it.
right thing." He said, "That's why you're so much farther along than most people after the same injury." He said, and I mean that's all I know how to do. Like I said, put one foot in front of the other. You don't always know where that step's going to land, but when you put your foot down, then you look and figure out where the next step's going.
Yeah. I love that scripture. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Like,
Absolutely.
got that clarity that God brings us is like, okay, here's where the next step goes, and that's the general direction we're heading. That's all I need to know. What's over here? What's over there? What's behind me? I'm not too worried about that. I'm going
Doesn't
to take
matter.
this. What's the next right thing to do? I got clarity. Boom. There's a trajectory. I'm going to keep going that way with God's help, right? You don't wait till the whole landscape is clear. You got all the moving parts. I hear from
Yep.
people sometimes in our community, Benji, it cracks me up. And you guys did this a little bit where you buy the course and you wait. I've heard people wait 9, 10 years because the course has been out for a long time now. And like, oh yeah, I bought that years ago, never did anything with it. And you can go through life doing that. Yeah, I bought that book, never read it. Yeah, but yeah, I bought that course, never studied it. Yeah, signed up for that subscription, never used it. Don't be that guy, right?
Yeah. And this is the same thing with how we started. Once we bought those first few items, we didn't really know what we were doing or where we were going. But we took that next step. We bought more things. We bought more things. We
Mhm,
bought more things. And we've been lucky. We probably could have grown quicker, but we've never borrowed money. We started out with those bags and we put it back.
mhm,
And when we put it back, we put it back. So it was literally like $500 worth of stuff we bought the first time,
mhm.
and we've grown it over time without ever having to borrow money. So if that's something holding somebody back, you can do it without it.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have the money to start a new business. We put that on credit cards and it sold before we. Now I wouldn't put a ton on credit cards to do that, but we
Thank
put
you.
$500 on there, sold it, made the money, and went back and just kept building from there.
Kept rolling it. Yep.
That's
I mean, that is a common number that pops up a lot around here, $500. We typically say if you got 500 to $1,000, that's enough for everything. The training course, Keepa, the basic software, podcast episode 369 talks about Keepa, so you can get the basics of that. We train it in our course as well. Then you got your Amazon selling account, which is going to cost you about $39, $40 a month. So about $100 a month or so in ongoing costs. And then you need money for your inventory. You're going to need a few $100 of inventory to get started. 500 to $1,000, the money starts coming in by the time you've burned through that, if you're doing it right, the way we show you. And yeah, I mean, that's a slow way to grow a business, but you don't need to go take out. People come to us sometimes and say, I've got $30,000 I can throw at this. What do you guys got for me? Like, keep all of it in the bank. You're going to need about $500. Let's
Yep.
get rolling. You want to work one on one with a coach like Benji's wife, Angie, like, hey, we got some great coaches. We can hook you up with that. It's going to cost you a few thousand to do that, right? But you don't have to do that. You'll go further faster if you've got the margin in your life to do so. But if all you've
Hmm.
got is a little bit of time, $500 to $1,000, you can start testing this out. And we've got a lot of stories, yours included now too, Benji. People that did exactly that recently and several years ago. The game hasn't changed at all from my vantage point.
Yeah.
You-
Well, I mean, be honest, business principles haven't changed in 2,000
Forever.
years.
That's right.
It's the same as it was then as it is now.
Hmm.
The specifics have changed a little, but
Yeah, the tools you use, the
yeah.
techniques, the strategies, but the fact that it's relational, that you always got to be learning, that you got to understand things like delayed gratification, personal sacrifice, right? Serving with excellence. I love the concept from Hebrew that the transaction is the beginning of a mutually beneficial lifelong relationship. You got to see the virtue in a transaction. The
Mhm.
mental game is where the real battle is. It's not the tools, techniques, strategies, Amazon's policies. It's the mental game, really is understanding and then the relationships. But man, I love your story, dude. I have a feeling we could do this and just keep going on and on. But I really appreciate your time, man. Tell Angie and the family thank you for loaning you to us. Appreciate all your time today.
Hey,
Any
thank you
any
for letting
final
me.
thoughts you want to share with the folks? I mean, you've dropped some really good stuff on us today.
I mean, just don't be scared, whether it be in life or be in business. Don't be scared. There's a God up there that'll take care of you, and that's how I keep going. I don't worry now as much as I did before. After all that, you would think I would be more scared after all that happened. I don't worry about things now. I take calculated risks. I'm not reckless, but I'm not scared anymore. And I think that's the secret to life and business is just don't be afraid. Just put that one foot in front of the other. You may not know where you're going, but you'll get there. You'll get somewhere.
Yep. Yep. You're in the right community at the right time, listening to the right people. For those listening to this podcast who are wondering, there is incredible opportunity here. And I just got to say that, it's kind of a personal note for me, just reflecting. I mean, I've been doing this over 20 years now. This podcast started in 2016, I think, but I was doing e-commerce well before that. Hundreds of interviews like this, Benji. And I'm just making the observation for me personally that the most rewarding parts of this have been the people, the stories, seeing people doing life and business under the same roof, growing closer with their spouse, right? Facing life struggles head on and coming out the other side of it. So this is an e-commerce business podcast, but it's every bit as much about real life and business and relationships, or real life and relationships, as it is business. It's the point I'm trying to make. And,
It's all
and
intertwined.
your story illustrates that beautifully, man. Just beautifully. Well, I got to have you back sometime, man. You're welcome back anytime. Give us an update. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, buddy, I'm here to help in any way that I possibly can with your business, and love how plugged in you guys are with the community, and such phenomenal leaders, and it's source of inspiration constantly for so many of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, God bless you, listeners who hung out with us today. Great episode. And I love these episodes where it's going to be really hard for someone to top that kind of episode. Like, okay, you've had it rough lately. Well, were you in a truck accident that almost killed you and then shot a few months later? I don't think so. I've been inspired and encouraged by Benji today. Hopefully you were as well. If you want to hang out with a bunch of people like this, we got a free Facebook group, 76,000 of us hang out in my silent team. There's a link at silentjimdotcom to our free Facebook group. This podcast, if this is your first episode you've heard, scroll back in time, hear hundreds of other great stories from people who are part of that community. The one thing they all have in common, if they're on our show, is they've built a beautiful business using the strategies we teach around here. After that, it's just a wide variety of incredible stories. And I think you'll be inspired and encouraged by them. But thanks for joining us today. God bless the business building warriors out there making it happen. We're in your corner. We're rooting for you. And we'll have another great episode for you very soon. Talk to you then.